Wealth and Wisdom is brought to you by the Johannesburg Stock Exchange.
Welcome back to Wealth and Wisdom. With me tonight is Vic De Klerk, and we're talking about Sharemax and what's gone on there with a property syndication scheme that's now seeming to have gone horribly wrong. Thanks for being with us, Vic.
Okay, let's just go back into the Sharemax thing. First of all, I want to give credit to my predecessor, the late Dion Basson. For 10 years, he tried to unravel this thing, but it was just too complicated. Right. I always want to say that in the beginning.
I mean, he was an amazing journalist.
He was an amazing journalist. He was an award-winning journalist year after year.
Persistent.
And he was very persistent, but he couldn't get in. He tried every one of the finer details of things. So I'm not going to claim fame that I was the man that ended this whole thing. The scheme or the whole business plan was just coming to an end.
So I mean, this is the story that you won Financial Journalist of the Year award last year for your part in uncovering it.
That's right, in the 2010. But I was actually not uncovering it. I was just reporting on the natural end of this thing.
Yeah.
Let me just explain. Sharemax is a property investment scheme. They were buying a little shopping centre somewhere on the platteland or on not in CBD's areas, others, little property syndications, little property syndication.
Okay.
And then the critical thing about it, they were offering their agents a commission of 6% to 10% to go and get the money.
Initially. So I mean, flat out, you go and you sell this thing, you get 6% of all the money you bring in, boosh,
if
check
you bring
to you.
Bring an investor, it was between a minimum of 6%, but it could have been up to 10%.
I mean, that's huge. I
that's
mean,
huge.
The most industries, 1%, 2%,
1%
maybe
or
commission.
2%. At that stage, there may have been some insurance policies in which you could have earned 4%, but this was huge. And it was actually presented in such a way, it's property, it's a long-term wealth, it was presented in a very fantastic way.
And I mean, it was sold with a lot of income. I mean, there was
always a very high income,
Okay.
around about 12%, which wasn't that much in the 2001 and 2002 period, but later on became a very attractive yield as well. But to make this thing work, you start with the agents. You make it very attractive for. They all had to be registered later on with the Financial Services Board. That was one of the tricks. It had to be a Financial Services Board registered agent. But they were getting a very attractive commission and all the incentives to go and buy this property. Over the past decade, this whole thing was working well up till about 2009, 2010. Because the property sector was such fantastic.
I think we've got a graph here of the property sector and its performance that we can actually see. This is the property sector, and you can see, I mean, it started here at about 150, and it's gone up to 488. So, I mean, up to 150 to 450, your money's roughly tripled, and this is just from 2004 to 2012. So, over those 8 years, your money's tripled. And these guys got going in
about 2000, you can say.
So, in about 2000, and I mean, they just were in this massive bull market in property.
And then they sold at one stage about 21 of their properties to one of these property trusts. I'm not going to mention the name because that was a ridiculous transaction again. But they could then claim that we have never skipped the interest payments.
Yeah.
And we have never lost 1 cent of capital. All right? Now, that makes it very easy for the agent to come and convince you to buy.
These guys are serious, amazing property developers.
These are just wonderful guys. They are very good guys. It was a Botha and a Brandt that was at the top of this pyramid, or sitting here and managing the Sharemax situation. But greed is a funny thing, and I don't know for what reason, but somewhere in about 2007, they decided to go big, and they started to build a shopping center called Zambesi Mall. Now, I'm very fortunate. This is right next to the golf course that I often play on, so I've been looking at this thing happening over a period of time, and I quite often visit this thing, and I said, this is a 30,000 square meter shopping complex, not even in Pretoria, it's on the way to Cullinan, that particular one, right in the middle of the poorest part of town, of Pretoria, all right? And this very, very expensive shopping centre. It looked beautiful in the inside.
So I think I've got a picture of it here.
No, you've got a picture of the villa. I'm still at...
Oh, we're at Zambezi still. Okay.
This was 30,000 square meters. And when they get close to finishing that thing, they said, no, we are actually very good. And the public loves us because we've just collected all the money for Zambezi. And they went for the villa. And the villa was a 90,000 square meter shopping. Okay. Now that's
huge.
That's huge.
That's one of the biggest.
Of the
that's Canal Walk. That's up there. You know,
that's one of the top 10 in the country. They placed a value of 2.9 billion on this particular thing, and they said, taking into account the fact that we're taking off our 6% commission and a little bit of profit for ourselves and a little bit of that, it all adds up to about 20%. So what they needed was about 3.8 billion from the public to finish this thing.
So this scheme started to get really, really big.
This was big. This was big. And one of my friends said to me one day, just go drive past that road
and just see this
amazing
thing going on.
I think you've got a picture of what the plan was.
Yeah, this is the plan. So
this is the plan.
I think we're gonna have to cut to an ad break now, Vic, and we're gonna come back and we're gonna find out what happened when Sharemax went for the really, really big property development of the villa.
JSE Safex style options, a great choice.